Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Wisdom of Happiness shows us a timeless truth. Happiness is still possible, even in the midst of chaos and uncertainty. This powerful message of hope is delivered as a personal audience with one of the greatest living thinkers, Nobel Prize winner Tenzin Gyatso, known to billions around the world as the Dalai Lama. It's a wonderful film, Wisdom of Happiness. I urge anyone listening to us, our conversation, to check this out because it asks nothing of you except to consider the world as it is and as it could be, and your own life as it is and as it could be. I think that's a beautiful gift to anyone who cares about themselves and about everybody else. Again, the film is called Wisdom of Happiness, and we're joined today by one of the co-directors, Barbara Miller. Philip Delaquis is not with us, but Barbara, welcome to Cinephile.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, again, as I said, and I really want to underscore this with anyone, like I said, anyone listening to our conversation, this film is just a beautiful exercise in considering possibilities in our own lives. And tell me a little bit about how you got involved, how you got to know the Dalai Lama as he is known. How did this all come about?
I mean, I know the Dalai Lama since I'm a little kid. It was a little kid because my mother took me to these events where the Dalai Lama spoke in Europe. And I always thought like it's a really an incredible personality, an incredible human being, so open-minded, so full of love and care for the world and for us as human beings. And when we got 5 years ago the chance to start a new film, we really wanted to bring this old knowledge, which is so universal, to our modern world. And we got the chance to do probably one of the last big interviews with the Dalai Lama. Also, thanks to Manuel Bauer, who was or who still is like the personal photographer of Dalai Lama since 35 years. And Manuel decided for the first time to work as a cinematographer. And that is how it all started. We then went to Dharamsala. You know, the Dalai Lama lives since over 60 years in exile in the Indian mountains, the Himalayas. And we set up an interview with the Indian and the Swiss crew. And we were really extremely excited. We knew we have this one chance in a lifetime. And when he entered the room, I mean, this is such an incredible thing when you're near the Dalai Lama. There is so much love and calm, and he gives you just the feeling that, yeah, we're all equal. We're all just human beings. And he has such a great humor. And it was so wonderful doing this interview and these shootings with him.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I really can only imagine being in the presence of someone who is learned about his religious faith, his faith of his outlook on life, a man who's been through a tremendous amount of upheaval, just even from the very beginning of his life, and also such a kind and considerate person who cares about his own people of Tibet, but as well as anyone and everyone around him. And I do want to talk a little bit about that, the idea of how he became what we now know as the Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama, and his calmness, his thoughtfulness. When you're standing in the room, you described it, but I mean, what is it the first time you sit down to ask him a question, this first interpersonal interaction you have with him? What was that sense for you like? Because it seems to me like he tries to put everyone at ease, knowing, sort of the revered place that he holds in a lot of people's minds. What was that first interaction like with him as you just sat there to talk to him just as another person?
It was just wonderful. I mean, this feeling that is around him of love and
Yeah.
acceptance of the other, it's incredible. And what we did in the interview, we really tried, we had like a technical thing, let's say mirrors in front of the camera. So when he was responding to my questions, he knew that he was talking directly to the audience.
Mhm.
And I think you can feel it in Wisdom of Happiness in the film when he's talking. He has so much love and care for everyone, and he really tries to reach the hearts and minds of the audience. And I think this experience, a lot of people told us that they have never experienced this closeness to this wonderful human being. And they really have the feeling that the Dalai Lama talked to their souls. And I think this is really, really wonderful. And also for me, being there close to him, having this discussion, yeah, it was just beautiful. It was so inspiring. And what is also so inspiring, he's, as you said, he's Buddhist, he's really a spiritual teacher. But what he tries is to be as close to our everyday life and our sorrows and our problems and our fears as possible to you can really feel that he understands in which world we're living in and what we need to regain confidence, to regain hope, to see a positive future.
Mhm. The film breaks down into a number of different approaches to telling the story of Wisdom of Happiness. Some of it's a history lesson on Tibet and the Chinese invasion of Tibet, and that's one part of it. The impact it had, the impact of another country coming in, invading his country of Tibet. And then there's also him very straightforward, giving you kind of a backstory on himself, but also on the faith or the religious traditions of Buddhism. And it is in some ways a session with him, a one-on-one session with him and his teachings, which I really appreciate. It really does kind of break the fourth wall, if you will. He's speaking directly to us and saying, these are all possibilities. We all within us have these opportunities and possibilities. So I really appreciate just sort of the way that the film isn't just one straightforward, this is him, this is his history, nor is it one straightforward, this is my teachings, and you will be here to hear what I'm saying. So there's a lot of things that pull you into this story, which I really appreciated your approach to filmmaking in that regard. Let's talk a little bit about your approach to in doing it
Mhm.
the way you did.
Yeah, we have watched all the films that are already existing about the Dalai Lama. There are quite a lot. And we were sure we didn't want it to make a biography or a film about the Dalai Lama. We really wanted to do a film with the Dalai Lama. But we thought what is really important is, as you emphasized, he went through a lot of difficulties. I mean, in the film, we see he talks about when he was found as the Dalai Lama. He was a small kid, and it was really difficult for him to become the Dalai Lama. He just wanted to play as every kid, and he went through a lot of difficulties. And then, he had to leave his country. He is living in exile since 65 years, and I think, or we thought he's so important as a figure to show that really bad things can happen in your life, that there are ways to overcome these difficulties, to not feel hatred or anger or being always in these negative feelings, but that you can find ways to deal with these situations. This was why we also had some biography element
Mhm.
in the film. But then we wanted to focus on his main teachings, and we really wanted to show or to make people feel that there is someone who understands in which world we're living in, with all these difficulties we have, with the daily stress, with the wars going on, with the insecurities about the future, with the climate crisis, but that we as individuals have the chance to be part of a change, that we can find in a way inner peace and the hope in ourselves, but also we can share it with a lot of others. And this, I think, are the main knowledge you want to transfer, that we as human beings, we really can change things.
Yeah.
We should never ever lose hope. I think this is one of the main messages that Dalai Lama or the film transports. We really never should lose hope because, yeah, we can be active, we can change things, and we can find inner and outer peace.
Yeah, the film, just as you're describing, he sort of opens the conversation by saying that this century is going to be a very difficult century, that humanity is facing many existential crises, including the degradation of the climate. Nuclear war is always a specter out there of our mass annihilation of humanity. These are things that we have to come to grips with. But as overwhelming as they can seem, and they are very, very daunting kind of issues. And there are others that we will be facing as human beings over the next 80 years or so, that we as individuals have the power to change our approach to each other, which in turn will bring about an approach, hopefully an approach by all of us to understand the humanity of all of us, and that we have that ability. We're also facing something that humanity has never faced, an intelligence that is not quote unquote human intelligence, which will be directing and manifesting itself in our lives in ways that we cannot even imagine. And it could be something of tremendous benefit to all of us. But
Mhm.
also, as we've seen in other technologies, whether it be computers or television or telephones or you name it, they haven't always turned out to be the most humane and life-affirming technology. So we have this one now. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do have control over ourselves and each other. And that, I think, I keep coming back to that. It is the individual, whether he may or may not feel powerful or powerless. We do have that in front of us, don't we?
Totally. And I think this is really one of the core messages that we have it in our own hands. You mentioned the technologies, AI, and it has so much to do how we deal with the things, how we use these things, how responsible we are working with these elements, which can, yeah, I mean, it could be the solution for the climate crisis, maybe. AI could help in that. But on the other hand, it's always a question how we deal with the things. And I think what the Dalai Lama really also encourage us is not to look away or to say, I don't want to deal anymore with all the things going on, but to say, okay, this is reality, but how can we change it into a better world? How can we change it in positive? Also, he talks in the film a lot about our inner world, about our negative feelings, our fears, our anger, even our
Yeah.
hatred, and how we as individuals can feel better and especially also feel happiness in taking a step back and try to change these emotions. And I think the way how he emphasized on the power and the energy and the chances we have as human beings to change our inner world and feel more happier inside, and how we together can really change also what is happening in the world. I think it's really wonderful and it's so hopeful. And it's such a, I mean, journalists called it also like an antidote to what is happening right now. All these separations, having this feeling of fear of the future. No, we should be positive about the future
Yeah.
and really believe in ourselves and believe in humanity because
Yeah.
it's there and we are here as human beings and we're all together in this.
Right. And I would call it a sense, I got the sense from him of urgency. I think he sees
Mm-hmm.
things, and as he was describing the things that we are facing, he also has the wisdom of having lived through some of the worst things that can happen to a person and also to a people, to understanding that humanity, the greater humanity that he has lived through. So there is gained wisdom. There is wisdom that has come to him from the writings and teachings. And he obviously, and one of the great things about him and his life has been his access to every imaginable level of society. He has been
Mm-hmm.
in the depths of the poverty and beatings and torture for himself and for his people. And he's experienced it around the world in the various places he's been, but he's also spoken to the highest reaches of every organized society in this world. So when he talks about these things, we can't take him seriously. I don't know what to tell you, the individuals who dismiss someone with that level of understanding.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he traveled for living in exile. He was traveling really over 60 years through the whole world to help people, to talk about what is happening in Tibet, to talk about what is happening in the world, to help to find solutions for peace, for a better living together, for openness to everyone. He did these interreligious dialogues. He helped, as you said, really poor people. He met presidents. So, yeah, it's incredible how much knowledge there is and how much wisdom also in the way to always try to find a dialogue. I mean,
Yes,
also
that's it.
with the Chinese government who made his life and the life of his whole people and of Tibetans worldwide really difficult. He always reaches out the hand and says, please let us find a dialogue and a way how we can live together in peace. And this is so
Right.
wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
this should be such an example for us and what the things that are happening in the world where there's too much division. If people would start seeing each other just as human beings, there would be so much chance for peace and
Uh,
love
yeah.
and
Oh, I'm sorry.
communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned over my lifetime is recognizing this deep humanity that we all share, and also mortality. Those are the
Yeah,
things that I think he and certainly the religious Buddhist tradition that I'm familiar with is we are all we're mortal. We will pass, and so whatever our desires are, whatever our wants and our passions are, our frailties, they're fleeting. And so that's the when I think of that tradition, I think of recognizing our humanity because we are all frail. We will all be leaving this plane of existence at some point. We have to understand that we're all in that same place. And I think that's what, for me, what I hear in his teachings and his what he is saying. Those are the things that come across. And I so appreciate about him and the tradition that he represents. Tell me a little bit about the reaction. I know you've had a lot of people come to it. I know that Oren Uberman was one of your executive producers, as well as Richard Gere and
come.
Wallow
Mhm.
Com, and others have been part of your team, which has helped spread the word. It's helped, I'm sure, in a lot of other ways. The reaction that you've gotten from screenings, reactions that you've gotten just generally in terms of recognizing the Dalai Lama in this film.
Yeah, maybe I can just explain a little bit how Richard Gere and Oren Moorman came to the
Oh,
movie. I
sure.
mean, we had a rough cut, and we had the chance to show it to Richard Gere and his wife Alejandra and the niece of the Dalai Lama. And Alejandra was in tears after she saw the rough cut, and also Richard was extremely moved. And he asked us if it's possible to be part of the creating process. And we were extremely happy because we asked him to be executive producer. And he said, you know, I know the Dalai Lama since 30 years. So
Yeah.
I would be so happy to share my knowledge and my experience. And he then brought Or Moverman, who's one of his best friends. He did, I think, 6 films together. So we really were for 2 months in the editing room to finalize the film, to really bring all this knowledge of also Richard Gere into the film and this love and care he has for the Tibetans, for the Tibetan cause, for the Dalai Lama. And I mean, this was one of the first reactions we had on the film and the impact it could have on people. And we now have shown the film already released in Europe, and it was incredible. It doesn't matter in which country you're going, people are so touched and moved, and they say that they feel so much hope and they feel so much, it's like they feel reset after seeing the movie. Often they talk about it's kind of meditation, this
Yeah, it
intimate
is.
conversation and the time you spend with the Dalai Lama, and that they feel so positive after they're coming out of the movie. And this is so beautiful. We have seen this all over Europe. And now also the first reaction we had now with the film starting in the US, people were so moved and happy that they have seen the film. And often the audience has said, yeah, we will come back because there's so much to discover and so much you can take with for your daily life. And this was so beautiful to see that we managed to bring this message of the Dalai Lama really through the film to the audience and to the people. And yeah, hopefully it will grow, the community will grow, and this impact will be bigger and bigger.
I can imagine people having that reaction, certainly, but also bringing people from their own lives to see this film. I just want to let people know that here in Los Angeles, it is going to be playing at the Laemmle Royal and also the Claremont 5 starting Friday, October 31st. And also, it's been playing in New York, and it's been apparently held over this is the third or fourth week that it's been held over. And also, it will be rolling out across North America through the fall and into 2026. So it sounds like there'll be many opportunities for people to find the film, to check it out. And I'm sure eventually we'll be able to watch it in the comfort of our own home, but see it in a theater, see it with other people, because that's part of the message. Our common humanity is part of the message, and seeing it with other people, nothing better than walking out of a film and into the lobby and hearing people talk about the film, that sense of community you feel when you are in that situation where you find yourself amongst a crowd of people talking about something that you just witnessed. And one of the great things about cinema is that ability to connect with people, and you feel it when you're walking out of a theater. Is that a fair way to put it?
Oh, it's wonderful. This is really, people also say you can feel it in the room, how it changed.
Yeah.
People are getting connected. It's such a feeling of calmness and yeah, community. And I think Richard Gere always says it's so incredible how you can feel this change when you're in a cinema watching this film together. And
That's right.
yeah, I mean, I'm so happy it will be all over the US. You can find all the screenings on wisdomofhappinessfilm.com. And yeah, we're so thankful that people are coming and sharing, and it's really
Thank you.
worth going to the cinema. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I appreciate that. You're exactly right. Thank you for making that point. Once again, I want to thank our guest, Barbara Miller, and as well as her co-director, Philip Delaquis, who was a big part of making this happen, and also Manuel Bauer, who was a big part of this in many different ways, who's made this film happen and the product, the film that it is. So, all the best to you moving forward on your journey with this film across the country and points beyond with Wisdom of Happiness. It is certainly good for all of us to imbibe, to soak up the words of the Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, and his journey. Thank you for spending some time with us here on Cinemaphile, and all the very best to you in your travels.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. Thanks a lot.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.